to our 2-inch squares, which happen to be the same squares as the squares that you have right in front of you. What I'd like to do first is, I remember that, counting there again, it was 8 by 12, remember? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 squares. Obviously count the one you start with, don't forget that. And so 8 up and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so, just double checking. 8 by 12 squares. That's my canvas shape. Okay. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, where is my line of sight on this? And I'm looking here, and I put a marker on my grid as well for my line of sight. Can you see that? So I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 squares over on the top. First of all, here's my my borders. So these are my line markers right here. Okay, same place. And I just said that my line of sight is 6 squares over on the top. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? What I like to do is I like to put an X there. Okay? Maybe an X down here. I call that, sometimes I even call that home base, as I've been saying. Okay? It sounds a little better than line of sight, which looks like you're writing loss, So HB, I don't know. Sounds better. So that's the same line I'm looking at. Now while I'm at it, this is curious to me. My line markers, when I look, I've got one there and I've got one here. So there's my line markers. Now, question, where do you start drawing? Well, the obvious answer is you could start anywhere. It doesn't matter. You're looking here, it's all the same thing. I'm going to give you 3 different ways that I found useful over time. The first way is I just start way over on the far left side and just kind of motor my way across. Okay, so in that case, I might start here, and by the way, I can very easily see my line marker. I'm counting up 1 square, and at about 1/4 of the way up, right here, that's the edge of my table. So I'm going to put that in right now. Okay, and I might go to about right here, and I might stop. Okay. I'm also looking over there and I'm seeing, well, let's see, if I go up 2 squares, there's my edge of my table. If I go up 1 more square, ooh, very interesting. I've got the cast shadow from the niche that does not quite make it up halfway down. It comes up to about right here and angles down this way. Okay? So this is actually a part of a cast shadow. Now notice when I gridded my paper, even though my format, that is my canvas, comes along here, this is my canvas size as indicated by my line markers. Notice that I've left a lot of room around it. It's a very good idea to do that, okay? So you're in a position like this, just keep drawing it because you never know. You might find yourself wanting to, on your final painting, make your picture a little bit bigger. You might end up feeling a little bit more open and not quite as claustrophobic. So I like to leave a little bit of extra space. So I'll just draw that shadow right across and do another square, just to remind myself of where I am. So here I am. I'm 3 squares up from my corner marker. Okay, I've got my cast shadow. Next square over, I'm just going to the next area of meaningful activity that I can see there. And I can see I've got the edge of this 1 bowl. And that comes to about, what is it, somewhere around there. I'm going to make my straight lines to make this very complicated curve. Okay. The bottom of that opening of the bowl comes just below the halfway point, somewhere around there. Now, rather than getting freaked out about the bottom edge, I'm just going to come right over here and come straight across here as that contour starts to rise. It's not quite at halfway. Halfway is up there somewhere. Now it's rising some more. And by the way, of course you can use common sense and realize that an ellipse is going to be something like this. And you can connect it. Of course you can. In this case, this is a very, very irregular piece of Spanish pottery. Okay, so I'm not going to think too much about ellipses right now. I'm going to be thinking about straight lines. Okay. This contour over here feels about halfway in that square. So I'm coming down, I can see that there's just a funny little snippet of it in this little corner, you know, just passing the corner of that square. Okay, just passing in there, then making its way under this way, making its way back over here. Okay? All right, now, I've got my basic shape there. Now I'm going to go back down and say, well, what happens next in this picture? I think within this square, there's a slight indication of the cast shadow of the niche, which is a continuation of this, passing right over here to the next square, which is this one. And I can see by looking at that there's this beautiful straight line, and I can't resist it. It travels all the way up to this corner. It's charming me no end. And by the way, whenever I see something coming right to a corner, I get this feeling, warning, 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 be careful. If something comes to a corner, it's almost like a warning from the oracle, beware. So what did I just do? I went back to my home base again and just wanted to check it out and make sure. And lo and behold, it doesn't come to that corner. When I go back to my home base, it's really more like about right here. Okay? You know, there you have it, folks. You think that, you know, with my foot position here taped on the ground and everything else, and there I am looking, you'd think that I wouldn't be able to get off that far. Okay? But as I'm looking here and as I go back to home base, I realize this did not make it to the corner. It made it to about right here. Okay? This comes down, and then right about in this square, it makes this jump over. Now this one lands on around the halfway point. Okay? Then from here, this comes down, and it's still, you know, when you have a square and you're drawing something that's rounded. Okay? When you're drawing a round thing like this, you can really see the downward trajectory and whether or not the thing is still traveling downhill or starting to go uphill again. Okay? Okay, so I've just shown you how to do one method, which you can see I'm starting here and I'm basically just sweeping this way. Okay? You can do that. Here's another way, and here's another reason why I like to leave more squares all around. You can start in the middle at your home base and work out. That's a perfectly reasonable way to do it. So I could start right here, and by the way, this is great because when you're at home base and you're drawing, you really can't miss. So I'm staring straight on, I'm looking between my two line markers there on my plumb, and I'm seeing that handle on that copper, whatever it is, starts here and swings down and just touches that. And I'm absolutely dead on that one. A little bit of straight lining, why not? The other one, very interestingly, does not come to this corner, but comes to about right there. Okay? It's a slightly irregular curve, but you know what? For the time being, I'm not even thinking too much about curves. I'm thinking about getting this thing on the paper, getting those points. Okay, this one just makes it around that corner, you know, something like that, just around that corner. Going back to my home base, this one comes underneath, back to my home base again, looking, checking, back and forth, looking at these two things. This one makes it around to here. This one right around to the front. Okay, this one just makes it around that corner. Okay, then the whole thing takes this very exciting plunge, you know, down, down, you know, both sides of the handle are visible within the confines of that square. Then as I get down here, this remainder of the handle comes down and kind of makes this funny little turn here at the bottom. Okay, and there I am. I'm back where I was. I'm back where I was when I started working that way. So that's the other technique of starting, you know, right in the middle. And I might do this side, then I might do that side. Either way, you're kind of starting in the middle and sort of pushing out in both directions. Okay? Then finally, the other way that I've done it before, which is a little bit counterintuitive, is I've built the whole thing from the ground up. And that means I might start like this. I might say, okay, well, if this is my ground line, why not just make that line, this is the front edge of the table, why not just make that all the way across? Okay? I might do that first. And by the way, that's a rather easy line to make because I push this thing up against the table, and so this line here is going to correspond, you know, quite parallel, obviously, with this line.